Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX agency and consultancy. Check us out. And today is our short stream on Friday, which I try to keep around 20 minutes. Believe it or not, that's short for us. And I try to react to things that you've sent me. So let's jump right in. I've got 4 things queued up. Those of you who sent in jobs, they're probably not going to make it to today's stream. We'll do them next week. But I do have 4 things ready to go. So let me flip over screens and hit this button. And now we should be looking at my screen and me and the chat room. So remember, you can subscribe and join our Slack universe, which is completely free, deltacx.link/join Slack. And of course, if you want to send something in, deltacx.link/reaction. So the first thing I was sent was the Wikipedia article on the Peter Principle. The Peter Principle, as it says, is a management concept developed by Lawrence J. Peter, which observes that people in a hierarchy tend to rise to their maximum level of incompetence. Employees are promoted based on their success in previous jobs until they reach a level at which they are no longer competent, as skills in one job do not necessarily translate to another. Yes. Now, of course, there's things that we can do about this, and I think there's 2 things. Number 1, management training for people. Some people are new to management. They're not sure if it's for them. They've never had to have direct reports before. Maybe they've led teams on a project, but they haven't been a manager. So management training can be important. The other thing where I find we run into the kind of failing up or being promoted until you're kind of out of your league or in over your head is hi Destiny, is very often when we see people promoted into UX jobs who didn't really come from UX. And of course, it's easy to tell from their LinkedIn when they have years of visual design, creative direction, art direction, engineering, front-end development, graphic design. They might be wonderful designers and engineers. I'm not saying anything about that, but I do worry that they're not in the right place to manage UX people. Once in a while, I do find an engineer or a visual designer who is a wonderful manager of UX people, but unfortunately, I found that to be less commonly the case. So I think that what we can do about the Peter Principle, hi Sylvia, is of course management training for people and making sure that as we're promoting people up, we make sure that we are looking at who's in their organizational branch and we are making sure that they are a good match to the people below them. In my HR training, which I can put up a little link to, of course, deltacx.link/HR-training, I'd run a survey when I was writing that, and I found that many people don't respect managers when they have not worked in our industry. We are more likely to respect a manager and be happier at a job when they've been where we've been. So very important to make sure that as we promote people up, we make sure that they are still in their areas of expertise. Otherwise, we risk the Peter Principle and things like that. So thanks to whoever sent that in. I guess I'll give it 4 dogs out of 5 because it seems like a decent enough thing. But of course, to me, what do we do about it is the question. Okay, the next thing I was sent was a UX Booth article from last year that says UX researchers can become leaders in a designer's world. I wonder if these are from the same person. Basically, this is a long-ish article that seems to say that UX researchers can be leaders. Now, of course, I believe UX researchers can be leaders. But again, as I was just saying for the Peter Principle, can a UX researcher manage a UX design team? It really depends on their personal experience, expertise, talents, skills. It just depends on whether or not that's going to be a fit. So this person is saying in order to be design leadership, you need to coach talent. Sure, anybody can, in our industry, moving into leadership can do that. Shepherd the design culture, advocate for design decisions, influence engineering, balance budgets, push design trends forward. Ouch, ouch. We're not really a trends-based world, but okay, visual designer. Research skills that aid in design leadership. Several things. Oh, is this? Oh, I can't tell from the hierarchy that this wasn't part of this list. So important research skills that aid in design leadership. Empathy. Well, y'all know how I feel about that. Reducing personal opinion in favor of more objective design criteria. We're supposed to do that anyway, leadership or not. Influencing engineering. I think we just heard we're supposed to do that anyway. Managing budgets. Yes, leadership has to do that anyway. So I have to admit, I really didn't understand what this article was saying or if it was in response to something else. I think that researchers can manage designers just as well as designers can manage researchers. To me, it always goes better when you have experience and knowledge and practice in that area. Otherwise, if you have just really been an interaction designer for X number of years and now you're managing researchers, you may or may not understand their world. So again, I tend to suggest, and those of you live in the chat room, I see 9 people in YouTube. Tell me about your managers. Did you have a manager that did what you've done? And did that help? Sorry, I was just outside. It's a little hot out. It's like 34 Celsius. Sorry, that's like 95 Fahrenheit. So again, we want a manager who understands us, who can support us, who once in a while can maybe train us, who maybe can recognize where we're getting things wrong or where we don't have a strength and we need to level up. If our manager has not done our work previously because they were a researcher when we're a designer when we're a researcher, an artist when we're something else, I'm always worried that there's a little bit of a disconnection. So just something to keep an eye on because it's going to be different for different people. I'm not saying always make these people leadership, never make these people leadership. It's one of those, it depends. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. So ultimately, I'm not sure this article has a lot of merit. It's really just a list of things that are good to have if you want to be in leadership. But it doesn't tell you how to get any of those. So I'm not too sure what I can do about that. So I guess I'll give it 2 dogs out of 5. Okay, next. This one was sent to me. This is from Sarah Duty, and many people who watch this channel know that Sarah and I are not buddies. So this is an article from her website. It's actually from 2017. So not only is this not a recent article, but this article is evidently so good that we wouldn't want to take it down, perhaps, over time. Sylvia says, my former manager was a senior software engineer and it didn't help much, even if he's an understanding person. Yeah, understanding people and good leaders can be great, but if they don't know what you're doing, ouch, ouch. So Sarah's got an article on her website, and we can all see why someone sent this to me. Why you need to fake it until you make it. You need to fake it until you make it. So let's take a look. So it starts with a personal story. Usually that loses me right away. Because I'm here to get help for whatever is happening with me. If you're telling stories about yourself, that can accidentally or on purpose look a little bit high ego. So this is her story saying that her little friend group said, fake it until you make it. We joked about it because we didn't have a clue how to do many things we were supposed to do at our jobs. I don't know at what point this was in her career, but everything was figure-outable. Some people get freaked out when they're out of their comfort zone. Just fake it until you make it. And she wants you to tweet this. This attitude is critical to product development. And I think that's really unfortunate because ultimately something like this will certainly inspire non-UX people at our workplaces to believe that they can absolutely do the UX, because if UXers fake it until they make it, why don't product managers fake UX until they make it? Why don't engineers fake UX until they make it? So I would say this attitude is destructive to jobs. It's destructive to people respecting us as specialized workers or experts. So I think it's unfortunate. And then she tries to backpedal a little bit. By fake it, I don't mean lie. Well, are you sure you don't mean that? Because up here you say, we honestly didn't have a clue how to do things we were supposed to do at our jobs. So either you lied by telling them you could do that, or you lied by not asking for help when you realized you couldn't do something your job was asking you to do. The attitude of experimentation that's necessary to move forward and not get stuck in the trap of overanalyzing. This has nothing to do with faking it or making it. When it's important to experiment and it's important to not get stuck in overanalyzing, but we are analytical people in analytical jobs. So there should be some analysis and there should be some experimentation, but I don't equate faking it or lying with experimentation. This is the kind of language that I find Jared Spool uses a lot, and I think they were buddies at some point. But I find that Spool will say these kinds of things, and it's like this weird syllogistic logic that builds on itself. But if you put your critical thinking hat on, it kind of doesn't work. So you should fake it until you make it, because you might not know what you're doing at your job. But I'm not saying you should lie. I'm just saying you should fake it and figure it out and just research and try it. I guess, Google your job. And but really faking it is the attitude of experimentation, to not overanalyze. No, it's not. No, it's not. And then, of course, because of the syllogistic logic, she continues with, well, if we adopt a culture of experimentation, well, hold on. This article is not about should we or should we not have a culture of experimentation. This article is evidently about you need to fake it until you make it. And I don't think so. If you don't embrace experimentation, so you can see she's completely lost what her own point was, and she ends with, does your team need to develop an attitude of experimentation? Well, hold on, that's not where we started. We started with faking it, and how when you were living in Portland, Oregon, you had a job that you didn't know how to do, which means you might have lied to get it. So I always recommend that people put on their critical thinking hats, especially when they see Spool, Sarah, Jeff from Lean UX. There's a lot of strange pretzel logic and syllogistic logic used to try to support ideas that I believe are wrong for us. And of course, if these ideas were so right, you wouldn't need pretzel logic to support them. You would say, it's important to fake it until you make it, because if you don't know how to do your job, go ahead and lie a little bit until you can Google enough to know what you're doing. That would just be more honest. If that's the way you feel, that would just be more honest. But to try to make it seem like faking it is really a culture and attitude of experimentation, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, and neither is Michelle on LinkedIn. She says, word salad. With critical thinking hats on, I find that we notice the word salad. Without critical thinking hats on, we press like on this because we think, yes, there have been times in my job where I wasn't sure how to do something, so maybe I was faking it until I'm making it, so I'm going to press like so I can feel better about that time. And I say, let's not fake it until we make it. If you feel like you're faking it, this is where you need a good leader or manager to say, hey, you've asked me to do something. It's a little bit outside of what I normally do. I'd like to get a little bit more training and information on this. Do you recommend any particular resource? Now, of course, if they've asked you to go outside of your job, that's totally fair. But if they've asked you to do something that was on your job description when you got the job, then we might not have completely told the truth about our skills. But again, if there's something that's happening at your job where they've asked you to go outside of that job description, I don't see why you can't just be honest and say, I'd like a little help here, or can I partner with someone on this? So that you're not guessing, you're not faking. So I'd like to give her 0 dogs out of 5 for that, but I do not have a 0 dog. So 1 highly judgmental dog. But as usual, do not agree. Do not agree. All right. Someone sent me this LinkedIn post. It says, go beyond problem solving with these 4 skills for becoming a senior UX designer. So with not a lot of words on the screen, my assumption is that you're a junior or you're mid-level and you want to make it to senior. Now that seems a little strange to me because senior is a natural progression after being mid-level or intermediate. So whatever you need to do to get to senior might be defined by your job. It might be based on number of years of experience. It might be based on certain type of performance. It might be based on you starting to change some of your role to be more autonomous or more strategic. So I'm not sure there's a cookie cutter way to become a senior. I do know that they want you to attend their free workshop, which of course was days ago. We can take a click on it and see what they're going to teach. A 60-minute workshop to take you from delivering screens to actively shaping UX at your company, which again doesn't necessarily imply that you're a senior. Being hired as a UX designer doesn't mean you get to shape the user experience. What? Get the top learnings from our advanced UX design program to accelerate your design career. Do we have an emoji for they're just selling you something? They're obviously selling their advanced UX design program. You'll discover hard and soft skills needed to get more impactful projects at your company. How could their program change what projects you're assigned to at your company? Am I reading that wrong? How do you take it in the chat rooms? Framing the problem with advanced UX skills, the whole design process and how it should connect to your company's process, creating a research plan that gets buy-in. Hold on, I thought we were delivering screens. Turning collected research into company-focused, customer-focused company wisdom. Researchers are already doing that, so I'm not sure what this is. Art of facilitation, y'all know what that means. That's buzzword for workshops, presentations, and pilot projects. So not really convinced so far, but let's take a look at their little slideshow and see what they have to say. Getting to senior in design isn't about years of experience, okay? It's about skills, okay? So what are senior level skills? Now, normally when I trot out my phases of proficiency, I say that typically a senior is where I expect people to start to be more strategic at the project level. I usually don't expect people to be very strategic at the project level lower than that. So maybe it's strategy. It's more than problem solving. Yes, you're supposed to do that anyway. Senior skill number 1, problem finding. Well, you know me, I would say problem finding from the time you're an apprentice, from the time you're learning, from the time you're a junior. I really don't think that problem finding is something you only do once you reach senior level. That really wouldn't make sense. That would make it sound like anybody lower than senior level is a production designer who's just making screens without problem finding. So I would disagree. Problem framing. Problem framing means looking at the problem from multiple angles and perspectives, and they're claiming you can use this. Again, I don't see why apprentices and juniors can't do this. My apprentices do this, and y'all are great at it. So no, this doesn't seem like something that happens just when you're a senior or looking to move into senior. You can be doing this all along. Solution shaping. Bringing your process for collaborative solutions. So remember, when you see collaborative and facilitation, that's usually buzzwords for running more workshops and doing more design by committee, giving up your power and autonomy, and having everybody design together. To me, that's definitely not senior. That just kills the industry. And solution pitching. So evidently, as a senior, we expect you to make impactful presentations about your project. Lower than senior, nope, you're probably not going to do that. So again, I think this is just a very unfortunate sales pitch. It seems very weak, doesn't seem compelling, and it only got 4 likes, so it seems to have died in the algorithm. I would also give this 0 dogs out of 5, but that's not a choice, so I will give it 1 highly judgmental dog out of 5. Ooh, sorry, that just had a power blip. I hope I'm still broadcasting. So, hey, any comments or thoughts or questions on what we just saw? Thank you to the judgmental dog for reminding us that this stuff was kind of garbagey. What does everybody think? Anything you disagreed with there? Anything you want to add? I see there's 9 people in YouTube, but I don't see how many are in LinkedIn. Otherwise, that's the reaction stream. Keep them coming. You can send to deltacx.link/reaction. You can send them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I just pile them up for next time. I try to keep the stream around 20 minutes, so we usually look at 4 things. That means next week I already have 2 weird jobs that y'all sent, and we'll start with those. And then we'll add on whatever you send. So since the chat room's a little bit quiet, I guess we'll just play our way out of here. But please remember to join next week for some of the live shows that we're doing. Monday, we're going to have 2 guests and learn about content design and content strategy and UX writing. Aitan says, hello, dogs are very judgmental today, for sure. Tuesday the 27th will be office hours. And Wednesday the 28th is Vivian Castillo. Don't forget that. And for August, fans of Office Hours Ask Us Anything with Darren and Dr. Nick, we've had to reschedule that one. So just note it would normally have taken place on August 10th, but it's going to be on August 17th for our August Ask the Three Musketeers Anything. So on that note, I hope everybody has a super weekend. Stay cool in the Northern Hemisphere. Stay warm in the Southern Hemisphere. Be safe. Eat healthy food. Wear a mask because it looks like there's cases going up again. So be careful out there, and see you soon on the stream. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are